Meet Abby Choi, a girl from Hong Kong's high society who had everything. People talked about her all over the world. She attracted everyone's attention with her luxurious lifestyle, her huge number of followers on social media, and her fortune, which was estimated at no less than $100 million. Her stunning facial features graced the pages of elite fashion magazines, such as Vogue and L'Officiel. However, on February 21st, 2023, just 2 months before the release of the video you're watching right now, Abby seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving everyone in confusion. Hundreds of police officers, including the special unit Flying Tigers, launched a search. It took them only 3 days to uncover the shocking truth. Welcome to my channel, where I explore true crimes and strange phenomena. If you enjoy this kind of content, hit the subscribe button, and let's dive into the story. Hong Kong is a bustling city home to some of the wealthiest people on the planet. Its skyline is decorated with 7,500 high-rise buildings over 100 meters tall, creating a breathtaking panorama. The wealthy elite of Hong Kong own the largest number of Rolls-Royce luxury cars per capita. They also enjoy the world's best fine dining restaurants, luxury boutiques, and private clubs. But while the elite enjoy their lavish lifestyle, the gap between social classes continues to grow, and many people struggle to make ends meet. In recent years, this has led to social unrest, protests against the government, and demands for more democracy and equality. Despite this, Hong Kong remains a vibrant and fascinating city with a unique mix of cultures and a thriving economy. It was here, among Hong Kong's elite, that Abby Choi grew up, a model known worldwide and a representative of Hong Kong's aristocracy. Abby was born on July 11, 1994, the youngest of 4 daughters in a wealthy family that owned numerous construction companies across China. Her mother reportedly owned many real estate properties and multi-million-dollar assets, providing Abby and her family with a luxurious lifestyle. Despite being born into wealth, Abby made a conscious decision from a young age to build a media career. Her fascinating journey began on Instagram. Her first post featured a Lady Dior handbag worth $6,000. Gradually, she began posting photos of herself sitting in the presidential suites of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Her gentle manner and stunning appearance quickly gained her a large following, which led to invitations to exclusive events with luxury brands like Dior. These events were only the tip of the iceberg. She also enjoyed luxurious vacations in Bali and attended Fashion Week in Paris. Of course, Abby was lucky to be born into a wealthy and successful family. But I'm sure her parents became successful not only thanks to luck, but also thanks to education. Let's return to Abby. She grew up surrounded by glitter and glamour. In 2013, at age 18, she found love. That same year, she married a man named Alex Kwong. The couple had 2 children, but the marriage was short-lived and ended in divorce just 3 years later. Nevertheless, Abby remained devoted to Alex and his entire family, to the extent that she bought a luxurious apartment worth $8 million in one of Hong Kong's richest districts for all of them to live in. It was a lavish residence with marble floors, marble walls, and a beautiful courtyard, a sign of Abby's trust and generosity. She registered the property in Alex's father's name, which saved almost $1 million in taxes. Abby herself did not live there, but all the Kwong family, including Alex, his wife, and their children, called it their home. Formally speaking, Kwong acted as a trustee. This meant Abby could prove she was the true owner of the property and challenge the ownership if necessary. For Abby, however, this was far from ideal. She alone purchased the property, but received no direct benefit from it. It secured her children's future, yes, but her ex-husband and his relatives remained a burden tied to her past. Over time, the situation only got worse. At first, it seemed like a good idea, but how long would she have to pay for all of them from her own pocket? 1 year, 3, 10. Now it's time to introduce another member of the Kwong family, Alex's older brother, Anthony, who was 31 at the time. Like the rest of Alex's family, Abby also felt responsible for him. 2 years earlier, when her relationship with Alex was still stable, Anthony was unemployed and struggling financially. To help him, Abby hired him as her personal driver, which led to a friendly bond forming between them. Because of this arrangement, they developed a close connection, and soon he often called Abby his sister. On his Instagram, he frequently posted photos of them together. Anthony also founded several small businesses, including a tiny street pancake stall in the city center, where he worked whenever he wasn't driving Abby. Rumor had it he earned a decent amount of money juggling both roles. But let's return to Abby. After her divorce, she later found new love, Chris Tam. They exchanged vows at a grand wedding ceremony in 2016. Recently, footage of their wedding was made public. Only their closest loved ones were present. Chris was a successful entrepreneur from Hong Kong. Like Abby, he grew up in a wealthy family. His father owned a famous and highly regarded restaurant chain. Chris and Abby had 2 children together. And despite Abby having 2 children from her previous relationship, all 4 siblings loved one another and maintained warm and supportive relationships. They often spent weekends together, frequently visiting the magical Disneyland and taking luxurious trips on private yachts. Nevertheless, all this behind-the-scenes life of Abby did not affect her overwhelming success in any way. Thanks to her influential connections and significant capital, she gradually transformed from a simple trendsetter and media personality into an actual media corporation. Because of her charisma, physique, and sense of style, she appeared on the covers of many well-known magazines, including Harper's Bazaar, L'Officiel, and Vogue. However, behind closed doors, as 2023 approached, tension between Abby and the Kwong family continued to grow. The Kwongs lived in the home she bought more than 6 years earlier, and Abby was becoming increasingly frustrated with the situation. At first, she was fine with it, but as she matured, she began to realize that she was being taken advantage of, and to be honest, she owed them nothing. When Abby purchased the apartment, she was young, impressionable, and perhaps a bit naive. There were rumors that Alex's father convinced her to buy that house. However, now she wanted to reclaim her apartment. Unfortunately, this was not the only unpleasant news for the family. Alex's father, Cao, had once been a respected sergeant in the Hong Kong police. He gained recognition for his impeccable work, but everything collapsed in 2005. He was accused of assaulting a woman, and instead of fighting the accusations, he resigned. The Hong Kong police turned a blind eye to the charges, and he faced no punishment or even a simple reprimand. Cao was not the only family member with a questionable past. Alex also had a share of problems. His actions led to him hiding from police for several years. In 2015, he attempted to become an investor and chose gold as his target. But instead of risking his own money, he gained the trust of 4 wealthy businessmen. As you can guess, they all invested in his grand scheme, over $500,000, and instead of trying to generate profit for the investors, Alex simply ran away with their money. The family members not only behaved suspiciously, but also had financial issues. Anthony, Alex's brother, was deeply in debt. Despite being given second and third chances, his habit of spending money exceeded all of his income. His Instagram page showcased his desire to project an image of luxury, but behind that facade was a man drowning in overwhelming debt. In 2019, a local bank filed a lawsuit against him. Even Alex's mother was not free from financial problems. 3 years earlier, she had been declared bankrupt. The contrast between Abby and her former in-laws was striking. Abby gained international recognition. Her personal wealth exceeded 100 million Hong Kong dollars, while her ex-husband and his entire family remained stuck in place, living off her and dragging her down. As human beings, we are vulnerable to envy and anger, which can manifest in many ways. And although Abby was not responsible for their financial troubles, they were genuinely outraged by her success. Abby felt this inequality, and at some point, she realized that the time had finally come to put an end to all the freeloading and handouts. In particular, she wanted to reclaim her apartment, worth $8 million. The conversation did not go well, so badly, in fact, that Cao even threatened to kill her if she tried to take the apartment back. Abby was extremely upset by the situation and immediately sought legal help. However, it became clear that she had a golden heart, as she went beyond all this chaos and began searching for a new home for the family despite their threats. Remarkably, she even planned to purchase another property for them, although it would not compare to their previous $8 million home. But let's be honest, what exactly were they expecting? Unfortunately, Abby never got the chance to carry out her plans because she suddenly disappeared. This happened on February 21st, 2023. She left early in the morning to pick up her daughter from school, but when the final bell rang, the mother was nowhere to be found. Despite multiple attempts to contact her through calls and messages, there was no response. For Abby, such behavior was extremely unusual, and it caused concern among the teachers. Given her job and lifestyle, she was obsessed with her phone. It was unlike her to miss notifications or incoming calls. Her social media accounts also went silent, raising even more suspicion. 2 hours later, she was officially reported missing, and authorities immediately took action. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as is often the case with wealthy individuals, they had certain privileges. More than 150 police officers were assigned to the case. Investigators quickly found the first clue: surveillance footage from the residential complex. Abby was wearing a white long-sleeve top, white pants, white slippers, and carrying a purple bag. Judging by the time, she was most likely on her way to pick up her daughter. The car in the footage appeared to be the same 7-seater vehicle used by Abby and her driver, Anthony. Questioning Anthony and his family yielded no helpful results, as they all claimed they had not seen her since the day she disappeared. Despite their efforts, authorities could not determine her whereabouts. Eventually, officials turned to the vehicle's GPS data, and what they discovered was painfully shocking. The car had been moved to another location, about 30 kilometers from Hong Kong, to a village called Lung Maitsun. With this suspicious information, dozens of officers were immediately dispatched to search the area. They conducted door-to-door inquiries, reviewed security footage from surrounding homes, and collected dashcam videos from all cars near local parking areas. By noon on Friday, 72 hours after Abby's disappearance, and only 24 hours after Lung Maitsun became an area of interest, detectives focused on a single 3-story house. Unfortunately, nothing could have prepared them for the horrifying sight inside. Aside from a well-equipped kitchen, the entire house was empty. The windows, floors, and walls were covered with tarps. Although I won't go into explicit detail, I will say this. Inside the refrigerator lay 2 human legs. In the kitchen were a meat grinder, an electric saw, a cleaver, chopping hammers, raincoats, and 2 large pots boiling on the stove. Inside those pots were a human skull and various rib bones. Authorities were shaken by the horrifying scene, and as the news spread, speculation and outrage swept across the country and then the entire world. After reviewing all surveillance footage from the area, investigators noticed that various members of the Kwong family were acting extremely suspiciously. This prompted a massive search for Abby's remains in the surrounding area, involving more than 100 Hong Kong police officers, divers, tracking dogs, data analysts, and even drones. Unfortunately, the searches did not lead to the discovery of her remains. Investigators confirmed they were interested in a large area of land on a nearby hill, but even those searches produced no results. If you were doubting it, then yes, it appears that the Kwongs are responsible for her death, and, as shocking as it sounds, it seems the entire family was involved, except for her own children. Now the main question is what exactly happened to Abby on the day of her disappearance. Here is the information we know at this moment. Anthony knew Abby's usual daily routine. Knowing this, he and the other members of the Kwong family planned to use it to kidnap her. Cal, who had threatened her with harm weeks earlier, had already begun preparing the plan. For $1,300, he rented a house in Lung Maitsun with the clear intention of destroying all evidence of her murder. After the kidnapping, Anthony reportedly drove her to the entrance of the Lion Rock Tunnel, where Alex was already waiting. They continued their drive northeast toward Lung Maitsun, where they met their father at the property of that very house. Later that evening, Abby was officially reported missing. When police approached the Kwongs for information, the 2 brothers and their father allegedly gave inaccurate statements. Suspicion arose when their testimonies did not match, and 3 days later, authorities searched the house, discovering the horrifying find. Anthony and Cal were detained that same evening, February 25th. However, Alex himself could not be located. As soon as news of the crime spread across the country, Alex became the most wanted man in the city, and everyone began searching for him. A manhunt erupted across Hong Kong, and authorities offered a reward of 2 million Hong Kong dollars to anyone who could help capture the criminal. The case became so huge that members of the elite special unit, known as the Flying Tigers, were brought in. When the Tigers are involved, it means there is no other choice. Fortunately, Alex was captured the very next day by officers at the pier. He was attempting to flee the country by sneaking onto a border-crossing yacht. He had more than 500,000 Hong Kong dollars with him, along with luxury watches and jewelry worth 4 million. He planned to escape as a stowaway, bribing a yacht crew member for $13,000. Thankfully, instead of escaping, he ended up in a jail cell. After the arrest, police officially charged Cao, Alex, and Anthony with murder. They even arrested Cao's mistress, who was suspected of helping Alex escape. Additional charges were later brought against 2 more individuals, including the sailor who planned to help Alex flee and one of Alex's friends. After this, farewell messages and words of gratitude poured in for Abby from her family, colleagues, and numerous friends, including her last husband, Chris Tam. Chris described his wife as a kind-hearted person who always wanted to help others and who always supported and loved him. Her friends described her as loving, kind, caring, yet successful and strong. Abby Choi left behind 4 children, and right now, as you watch this video, her mother is in court seeking custody so that the children will be placed under the care of the Choi family. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a like and comment on what you think about this case. Thank you for watching.